Howdy, folks. I think I'm starting. Just double checking. Make sure that everything's up and running. Give me just a second. I'm trying to get a little bit better about this, about having everything set up. And while I'm trying to do that, I'm not actually succeeding. So bear with me as I do some setup to start this video. I just want to make sure my audio is working. And should have sound. Oh, I bet the output is coming through my microphone. Should have sound. Oh, I bet the output is coming through my microphone. Great. Now you get to hear two of me. That's going to be weird, but it's working. Hello, the one watcher. Thank you for bearing with me. I think I'm just going to go and cross my fingers and hope that everything has worked. So last time, we were up to looking at Spyfall, this Spyfall game, and trying to get multi-remote working. And oh man, I should have switched my monitor so that. Let me try something. Just a second. Again, I would love to have this stuff just working, but it doesn't. Okay, so video capture device, I need to set to, nope, not that. Display capture, change to 2. Yeah, there we go. It should look about the same. Yay, multiple displays. But I've got the camera here, so I'm gonna actually look like I'm talking to you. Okay, so I've got my Chrome browser and then my Firefox browser as well. And my configuration file where I load 2 of these. And I was trying to get it running in this sample directory and I was having some issues with it. So I'm basically going to set up a new directory and copy all this stuff over for now because it's just too much junk going on and I want to start off clean. So I've got a new directory here. I'm going to initialize it. -y, npm init with a -y just creates a package JSON file that has basic stuff set into it. And then I will install WebdriverIO. One thing that I was trying to get set up was having this installed right away, but I didn't get that set up. So that's that. I'm trying to figure out where I can position my mic to where you can hear me, but not have to listen to the clickety-clack of my keyboard so much. And thankfully it's a pretty good mic, so I don't really have to get really close to it for it to be for the sound to come through. I will be checking the comments, so yeah, if you have any comments, just let me know while you do this. And I hope that the stream is better today. I've hooked up Ethernet all throughout my office. You can actually see it up over here. That's my pretty Ethernet cord, and I drilled a hole in my ceiling and walked through my attic the other day to get that all set up. So that was fun. And hopefully it means that there's a better streaming experience for you and it's a little bit higher quality. Okay, I've got WebdriverIO installed. Make sure that the camera's back in a decent spot. Okay, WebdriverIO installed. I'm going to edit my package JSON file just to get this shortcut here going a little bit easier. I've been jumping back and forth between a Windows machine and a Mac, and the key bindings is just killing me. So sorry if you see me like pressing weird keys. So okay, we're gonna run this on my local machine. I'll have Mocha, and yeah, I'll have it installed. We will just do test/*/*.js. I want to use the dot reporter because that's pretty cool. There's the magic. Ooh, they have a visual regression service now, and they have Webpack and Sauce, and wow, this is a lot of stuff. And look, it even rotates around. How much fun! You can just keep going. Neat stuff going through. Is there anything else I want? I'm going to take a look at this visual regression service. That looks interesting later. But for now, that's what I want is Selenium standalone. Let's do commands just for the fun of it. Yeah, that sounds good. And then let's get my base URL. This is the old file we had, and that's definitely not what I want. I want here. Paste that in and let that install. So while that is installing, let's see. Okay, that's installed. Now I can run my test. I'm going to go ahead and copy this over. So I'm going to make a new directory called tests. Actually, it should have been test. So, oops. Move tests to test. And then I'm going to edit a test file called multiremote.js. Paste that in. And I put a slash at the end, so I'm going to need to edit my configuration file to get rid of that slash, otherwise it may not work. Okay, back in here, and you know, I closed that configuration file. I wasn't ready to close it yet. Get rid of the slash, come back over here, copy my capabilities over, and then paste it there. So I've got my Chrome browser and my Firefox browser. If this doesn't look familiar, this is because I started this last time. Didn't get too far into it, but basically, I think I can close this now. Okay, so I'm setting up two browsers to run my tests in, and then when I'm running multi-remote, I'm saying my Chrome browser or my Firefox browser. So all I want to do right now is get the title and make sure that this stuff works for now. So let's try this out. Run my test and let's see how it goes. Last time I think it was erroring out. Starting a session. So this is my Chrome browser. Or what is this? Oh, it's my Firefox. Oh, and you know what? My Firefox browser isn't gonna load because I have a newer version of Firefox. And Firefox has always been weird. So I'm gonna go ahead and quit off that. And then instead of doing a Firefox browser, I'm just gonna do two Chrome browsers. And I'll call it my second Chrome browser. And then just get rid of that. Actually, just get rid of that. Okay, let's try this again. And I think I saw two. Yeah, I've got two open, but they're not actually doing anything. Oh no, sorry. This isn't part of the multi-remote. It's just one that I have open for reference. Test runner, where do we have usage? Multi-remote. So yeah, this is going to be a lot of debugging today while I figure out what's going on. I wonder if this doesn't quite work with... Oh, there we go. How about that? I forgot to include this browser.select up here. And so this was probably trying to do something that it couldn't. So I'm going to do before each. And then, actually, I don't need to do it before each. I'll just do it here. Then have a second Chrome browser. Throw that there. Let's give this a try. It keeps popping up off screen. My Chrome browser URL. Jumping through all my different Chrome browsers that I have open, and nothing's working right now. It's just sitting there. It's not actually doing anything. Wait for exist. So anything you do on the browser gets set to all of your browsers. Sync the instances again. I wonder what that does. Browser sync. Okay, so this says that sync method is obsolete if you're running it in the test runner, which we are. And it's already globally available. So what I was doing was actually good. My Chrome browser. So this will do all. So I don't need to do that. That was only because I was looking at the wrong documentation. So if I say browser URL and then browser get title, and then I'll just comment this out. And let's see what this does. And then I'm also going to check out the examples. Thanks to Christian's suggestions. He said that it starts Firefox, but oh, it does start Firefox. I thought that was just a leftover session from before that never got closed down. Browser name. Browser A, browser name, Chrome options. Browser name, Chrome. Okay, so head back to our capabilities. So we have my Chrome browser, desired capabilities, browser Chrome. My second desired Chrome. And then I'm in the right directory. It's always fun when you're not in the right directory. Let's just confirm that. So I'm just going to output my configuration file. Okay, so it is running through that configuration file. That's good. Let's see if I have Firefox anywhere in here. I don't. So why would it be starting up Firefox is a good question. So I could WebdriverIO multi-remote. I wonder if that is something that I need to get set up, is it being under multi-remote. So let's see. Define the capabilities in your configuration as an object with a browser name. So if I were to copy that, which I think is what I did last time. So I've got this as an array. Maybe it shouldn't be an array. And then if I paste that, it's pretty much the same thing. The only difference is that one is Firefox, one is Chrome. Okay, so I'm going to try this as just an object and see if that helps. Yeah, so Christian says that it's not an array. Yes, love messing up. That looks better. We've got 2 sessions and it's actually going to URLs now. Okay, it's working. That's pretty cool. Thank you for that. Awesome, 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 awesome. Okay, so there's actually already an example out there that I can jump into. And it's here. Oh, neat. So we've got different names. So you can, instead of doing this by browser name, you could be like, this is player 1 or player 2. So let's do that. Let's say that this is going to be the host. and then this will be guest 1. Because what better than when you have it working to make it stop working, to change things up when you don't need to. So I'm going to say the host is going to click the new button game, and then I'm going to log hosts get URL, and so both browsers open up. I can get rid of that, and I really don't have to have both browsers open up quite yet. So I'm just going to have the host. Should allow host to create a game. And then the last thing I want to do is store this game. So I'll do a variable game ID and just get a plain variable going up. And then I'll save that URL. And actually, let's bring up what this page looks like so that we can kind of go through it, because you may not be familiar with it, and I kind of forgot what it looks like. So you would do new game. So we have, if I look in here, in my elements, I have my ID of new game. I'm also going to use this join game in my other test, and I'm going to hit new game. Okay, so next I need to enter my name, and this is still on the same page. It's just a dynamic thing, so I will, should allow us to create a name. I won't do that quite yet. I will do host.setValue, and then I'll pass in my element, and I'll pass in my name of host. And then I'll click create, which is the create button, and that's inside of a that. So I think I can do submit form, passing in the ID of the form, and then when I hit create, that takes me to a new page, new URL. So here I can log out my URL just to make sure it's good. And then I'm going to set my game ID to equal this value. So I've got an access code. So I'm going to use the getText command, I think. Access code span. Let me double check getText, because it could be that getText only works on, yeah. So I actually want getHTML. getText only works on input fields or anything that is interactable, and a span isn't that. So we would just get a empty string. So we need to use getHTML instead, and that will work just great. We're just the selector. We don't want the tag within it. We don't want that span. So here you can see this is basically what we're doing is get HTML of this with the span in it. And oh, it defaults to true. Okay. If true, it includes the selector element tag. So we do want to set this to false, because I don't care what that is. And then the last thing I'll do is just log this ID just to make sure that it works. Okay. Cool. Let's see how this goes. We have our URL here. That got logged out. And then I believe my getText didn't work. We had a failing that span couldn't be found. So maybe my submit didn't work. Yeah, it looks like my submit didn't work right here. Let me double check that it's submit form. Yeah, it's submit form. You just pass in the selector. Input type submit. I would think that would work. But, and then I open, it's interesting. I was expecting there to be an error shots directory, but there isn't. Okay, I thought I was going to take a screenshot of the failure, but it didn't. So let's figure out why submit didn't work. So it gets the element, it tries to submit it, and screw that. I'm just going to do this the hard way, which is just a little bit more manual of a, so I hit create, manual selector. So I can actually do copy selector, and this is going to create the shortest selector that I can to get to that button. And let's see, so we've got an ID of create game, and then I can get rid of that and input type submit. So this should work just the same. Basically, it's going to click this button instead of trying to submit the form. And I think that's because this button probably has a event listener on it. And so instead of this form actually doing anything, having a handler on it, let's see, there's a submit. Instead of that form actually doing anything, it's all hooked into this button itself. So let's try this. I've got my button that I'm going to click, and then I'm going to get the URL and then get the ID code. npm test. Excited. This is too cool. Ah, it still didn't work. Okay, now we are going to do some debugging. So after I click it, I'm going to debug and see what kind of comes up from there. And then the other thing I want to do, since I will be debugging, it's going to take a little bit of time to run through everything, and my timeout is pretty low, so I'm just going to set that high. That way the test doesn't end before I finish debugging. So that's a Mocha Ops timeout that you can change, and it's basically changing your configuration value, the default of it, to be whatever you set here. Okay, so now I'm debugged. I'm on the page. Maybe the page just didn't load. So I think what's happening is when I hit create, WebdriverIO/Selenium doesn't know that the page is trying to redirect to a new page. And so what's going on is that this is a JavaScript thing where it gets that information and sends maybe a AJAX request in the background to create a new game. And then once that's done, it redirects you to that area. So I'm going to use a wait for command to wait for the page change. So I can go ahead and get out of this debug. And then here I'm going to say host.wait for. And what do I want to wait for? There's many things I could wait for. I can wait for this access code to pop up. I can wait for waiting for players to pop up. I think what I'm going to do is wait for the waiting for players to pop up. I could also check that the URL isn't something specific, but I'm going to see wait for text, and I don't think this is what I want it to be. An element for the provided. Oh, it is. It is. It's waiting for. So it's not what I wanted it to be. Sorry. It's waiting for any sort of text to appear inside of an element, which is not what I want. I want specific text to be in there, and I remember this from when I covered this in my course that I got a little confused and thankfully figured it out before I got there. But I can use wait for exist. Wait for exist, And then I'm going to use a text selector. So it's going to be h4 and then equals waiting for players. And those text selectors are super awesome. If you want to read more about those, they're under selectors. And normally it's like link text, but you can actually just get any element with a certain text. So here, h1, welcome to my page, or in our case, h4, waiting for players. And then this should work. So I could also check waiting for this element to appear, but I don't know. I feel like I'd prefer this one because if we get to a wrong page, then I don't know. I just feel like it might work a little bit better. So I'm still a front-end developer, not a tester, software tester. So please correct me on all these things. I just don't know the best way to do things. Woohoo! It works. Okay, so now I've got my ID code right here. I can get rid of this because I don't need that anymore. And you can see it's the updated URL now. And now let's go over to our second test. And then we are going to, let's install chai, which is an assertion library. And then variable expect is equal to require chai. So I'm just loading in an assertion library to create some assertions. Expect game ID to let's see what I want to do. Chai. I love that chai comes up like that. Okay, I only got a few more minutes and then I gotta go. I'm just gonna get this assertion and then I'm gonna load the page in my second browser and validate that it's there. And then we're gonna continue on with this next time. So the last thing I need to do is expect assertions. Not the last thing. One of the last things I need to do is check my chai assertions and figure out what I want it to be. I basically want to say that it has text in it. So I could check that the length above 2. Okay. So I'm going to expect my game ID to have a length above 0. So right now it's 0 when I initialize it, and then I'm just going to expect it to have a length above 0. So if this didn't come through, like if I forgot to press click, this should fail. So let's just double check that. Run that, and then while that's running, I'll go into here and say, what do I have? Guest 1 is the name of it. Yeah. Guest1 dot URL, and then I'm actually going to paste in that game ID, and so it failed because it was waiting for this to exist. So that's probably not the best option. I could do something else. Anyway, I'm just going to leave this. This is gonna, if there's a problem with this, we're gonna see it, basically. Okay, so guess one's gonna join the game. Then they are going to, let me think. I don't want them to go straight to the URL. I want them to enter the URL into join game. So let's undo that. We're gonna go there, and then we're gonna do guest.click. We're going to click the join game button, which we already had our selector for. Join game. And then when I click join game, it says enter access code. So I need to enter 2 values. Thankfully, they have IDs on their element, so that makes it pretty easy. So I'll say guest.setValue. I'll pass in the selector and then game ID. And then I'm going to say guest.setValue on the name, player name. to be Bob. Okay. Like Bob. And then the last thing I'm going to do is click join. So I could probably do that by saying click, and then what's that, a button? No, it's an input. Oh, it's got a value of join. It doesn't have a text of join. So I can't do that because it would be looking for the inner value. I need to do kind of what I did here. I could just do a type of submit. I could also do value equals join. Okay, and so here's my access code. Double check this manually. Access code, Bob, click join, and then it brings me to this URL. And then I could do an assertion, expect browser.getURL to contain the game ID. And then I probably need to do the wait for exist as well here because of the same issue of it being kind of automatic. And then, yeah, I think that's a good point to get to. And let's go ahead and run this test and see what we've got. So here's session 1. It's going to the URL. Guest is not defined. Oh, it's guest 1. Oh, and then browser.getURL, it needs to be guest1.getURL. Neat, very neat. And then I guess the other thing that we'd want to do next time is we're going to should show Bob in list of names on host browser. So basically we want it to, I'll skip it for now. Sorry, we want it to show Bob in the list of names on the host browser. So when I go to my original host, I can see that Bob's there as well. So that is it for now. I'm glad I got this working. I'm going to go ahead and upload this up to GitHub. I'll paste it in the comments or something. And yeah, that's that. I'm going to do a quick plug at the very end here for my course that's almost done with the first half. So this early access price is probably going to be gone very soon once I get this final video, defining common actions that I'm working on right now, completed. And this is actually, instead of common actions, it's more like generic page objects. Page objects are really cool, and I'm sure I'm going to go cover this at some point in the future. But almost there, and once that happens, the price is going to be up to the full value. I'll probably do a launch thing, but just so you know, yeah, that's what I'm working on, and I'm just really excited about almost being done with this. When I am done with that, I'm going to jump into getting test your login working. Right now, it's just a little landing page, but soon it will be a website where you can get a setup going for WebdriverIO right out of the bat. So anyway, that's that. Thanks for listening, and see y'all in 2 weeks.